Hey, it's Meatball.
And Mark.
And this is the Rocker Morning Show on demand from 107.7 RKR.
Good morning, John. How are you?
Great, Meatball. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Boy, you have got a busy day. The massive celebration of Bon Scott there in New York, man. Are you amped up and ready for this?
Oh, we are so ready for this. Yeah, I mean, it's our first, hopefully, annual birthday bash for Bon. And, we're starting small. It's about 100 people, loud, sweaty rock club, the Lower East Side of New York City. And we've sort of modeled it after the band AC/DC's famous secret show at CBGB's that they did in 1977.
Nice.
And so, we have that spirit, that vibe. We've got 16 different singers doing 16 songs with a killing backing band. So we're psyched. We're ready. It's nearly sold out. I think there's only a couple of tickets left. If you're in the area and you want them, there's a link on our website, bonscottofficial.com. And we're really looking forward to it.
Well, John Jackson on the phone with me here. I guess we can call you a rock and roll expert since you seem to be, as far as I know, the only person who holds a degree in rock and roll history. Is that right?
I was the first, for sure.
Okay.
I can't say that anyone has not done it since then, but yeah, I graduated in 1997 with the first bachelor's degree in rock and roll history. So that was I was started down the road of understanding, studying, exploring, the history of music and all of these amazing characters that made all this great music that we love, and really studying them and expanding their stories rather than contracting them.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to tell the short versions of some of these people's stories. Like, I'm a big Elvis guy, for instance. So,
Yeah.
His 70s period is, usually condensed to, he does the 68 comeback special. He goes on the road. He does Aloha from Hawaii. He gets fat and he dies. And it's like, well, no, hold on a second. There was a lot
Wait a minute.
that he did. He was the biggest concert draw of the 1970s, number of tickets.
Yeah.
He did all this great recordings that, just because of the way music had gone at the time, weren't giant hits, but they were still amazing recordings. So, you kind of have to get people's attention and be prepared to tell the story of the person in a way that's, interesting. So that's what we're doing for Bon. We want to make sure that people don't forget who he was, both as, AC/DC's frontman, but also in groups prior, and, just sort of his personality and why he embodies that spirit of rock and roll so much.
Yeah, there was a lot of people, I would say their first real introduction to AC/DC wasn't until the Brian Johnson era. Like, especially in the States, like AC/DC was really just kind of getting rolling here with those last couple of albums with Bon Scott. And then, Back in Black hit, and almost every single song off that album became, a radio single. And everyone just remembered Brian Johnson with AC/DC. You telling the story of Bon Scott, it's interesting because we were just discussing this morning. It's like, we play a lot of AC/DC on this station, but for some reason, like maybe only a third of that is Bon Scott. And that's crazy.
Well, Brian's had a lot of hits, with the band with Brian singing. So, it's easy to play Hell's Bells and Back in Black and Thunderstruck and,
right.
For those about to rock. And I mean, they've had so many great songs in the years since, which is why, it's sort of an uphill battle a little bit to say, well, remember Bon, remember he wrote, the words to A Whole Lot of Rosie and Let There Be Rock and, the songs that they're still doing in concert today.
Yeah.
So, and it's a great balance because obviously we love Brian and we love Angus and Malcolm and Phil and Cliff and everybody. So
yeah.
It's a balance of reminding people, of Bon, but also celebrating the band as the band, and that he wrote the words and sang the songs, but was only a part of that group.
Right.
But just to remind people, in the same way that the estates of Randy Rhoads and Cliff Burton and John Bonham and the sort of tragically gone too soon people, we have to make sure that they're not forgotten about through the sands of time.
Yeah.
So it's a job, but it's also a very fun job.
Yeah. Now, how did this celebration for Bon Scott come up? Because I know you're directly kind of in the estate area with the Bon Scott as well, correct?
Correct. Yeah, I work for the family, doing all of the sort of creative side of stuff, merchandising, collaborations with different clothing and action figures and, brands, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But also, we had got the social media up and running and the websites and all kinds of things. So, the idea of live events was something that we wanted to sort of get a hold of, because in the 44 years since he passed, there have been a lot of great tributes to him, but also some really dodgy ones. So, the family wanted to sort of go, oh, well, let's do our own so that we can, have one that we can have oversight over, so that it's quality, it's, managed properly, it's presented properly. So that's what we decided to do, and we're starting small. This is only our first year, and we're building towards the 80th birthday, which will be in 2026,
right,
and beyond. But we've got some amazing folks coming down, people that have won Broadway Tony Awards, and one of the guys that was like a Phantom of the Opera on Broadway.
Oh my gosh!
Some really powerful rock and roll singers. That all said yes immediately.
Yeah.
To doing the show, and also it was very strange because all of them sort of had their own favorite song. So it's not like everybody was fighting over Highway to Hell. It was like, oh no, I love Sin City, or oh no, I love If You Want Blood, You've Got It, or oh, I really love to do Dirty Deeds. So it was surprisingly joyous to put together. There was nobody that sort of said, forget it. So everybody loves Bon. If they know who he is, they love him. So that's where we're starting at.
The idea now that you've kind of put in my head, and of course my brain goes to this because I'm 12 years old. The idea of somebody who performed as Phantom of the Opera on Broadway, performing Big Balls by Bon Scott and AC/DC. I don't know why that makes me laugh, but it does.
Well, there's actually, if you go on YouTube, there is a mashup that somebody did of the Phantom of the Opera theme song and Big Ball, the lyrics of Big Balls.
No way.
Oh yeah. I think it's called like the Phantom of the Balls or something. So.
That's great.
You can look for that on YouTube, but the guy that was the Phantom is doing the Jack, actually. So,
that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Let me talk to you a little bit, because I know, you have this rock and roll degree. You got this through IU, right? You went to Indiana University and got this?
That's right, Indiana University, because they had a unique combination of fantastic music school, the best among public universities, which is why I went there in the first place.
Yeah.
But then also, they encourage students through a program they have to design their own degrees using classes that are available. So there were these two guys who were teaching rock and roll history classes within the music school, because people from all other schools, like the business school or the football team or whatever, would take these rock and roll history classes. So I just immediately went up to them and said, I gotta be in, how do I do this? What do I do to get involved in this? And one of them was kind enough to be a faculty sponsor, and I did all this work on thesis and research work on Elvis Presley, and so ended up getting that degree, and then ended up working in what they call catalog music, which is, the sort of historic music that is owned by record companies, Sony Music or Universal or whatever, and was able to work on, amazing catalogs like Elvis, like AC/DC, like Johnny Cash, and, tons of other great legendary artists.
Yeah. I just thought it was odd that, you got a rock and roll degree from the state of Indiana, and I'm just going, wait a minute, Indiana, really? At least, like a Cleveland school or something,
Well, you got your John Mellencamp, you got
That's
your
fair.
Axl Rose, Michael Jackson is from Indiana.
That's fair. That's fair. I'll give it.
A lot of amazing folks from the great state of Indiana. So I'll send it.
Well, the Bon Scott tribute is happening in New York. Might be a little short notice for some people around here to get tickets, but is there another way that people can participate and take part in this celebration of Bon Scott's life?
I think just crank it up and play some Bon Scott music at home would be a terrific thing to do.
Well, I think we can definitely do that for you on the rocker, man. John Jackson, we appreciate your time today, man.